The milestone we're talking about in this video series for your 7 to 9 month old is sitting to crawling. Now the reason why this is such an important milestone for your little one is that we had talked about earlier about how important it is for stability to come before mobility. And stability always comes before mobility. So being able to sit in a stable position before you become more mobile and using both sides of your body in a coordinated manner is always going to come after your base of support, how you're sitting, becomes stronger. And so in this activity, in these activities that we're going to talk about to help baby move from sitting to crawling, that's directly what we're talking about. Baby has to become strong in their stable sitting position in order to become more mobile to be able to crawl. Another reason why sitting to crawling is so important is because you're building independence in this little explorer that you have. And with building that independence and exploring, you're building more curiosity. And with curiosity comes greater levels and expansion of play. And with greater levels and expansion of play, you're building stronger self-esteem and self-efficacy through that trial and error that they're getting. So all of these motor skills contribute to that self-esteem and that social emotional aspect of growing and changing with your baby. The tools that you're going to need for this activity are bolsters. You might need a half bolster for your little one depending on their size. You need to find a motivating toy for your little one, whether it's balls or a rattle ball. Very fancy. You want to grab those items and make them handy. You may also want to grab your boppy pillow for your little one too. And we'll also be using your body as a way to help with your little baby going from sitting to crawling. So my friend, grab those items, grab those tools, and grab your baby, and let's get started with our first video. Let me try that again. So your call to action is to grab those tools, those bolsters, those toys, your boppy and your body and your baby. And let's get started with our first activity as we're working on that milestone of coming from sitting to crawling. Not bad. So we're going to start off with baby sitting with support here, because this is oftentimes where baby can start to work on moving off of a stable position into a more mobile position. So if baby is still working on their balance here, sitting up, maybe you have them sitting in their boppy pillow, which is perfectly fine. If we want to motivate baby to start to move and get into more of a crawling position while they're inside the boppy, I'm going to show you how to do that right here. So because we know what motivates baby are their toys and objects and interesting things in their environment, we're going to grab a preferred toy. And for this little baby, we're just going to pretend like it's this rattle here. So we are going to decide that we want baby to move to their right on this side. So we're going to make noise with the rattle over here. Baby's going to say, "What? That's an amazing sound. I love it so much." And baby's going to orient to that. They're going to look over there. They're going to say, "Huh, I really like that. I'm going to grab it and bring it to my mouth." Well, that kind of defeats the purpose. So we're going to move it over a little bit further away, out of reach. Okay? And so baby's going to kind of reach up and over there. We just want to remind you, just a note here, that my boppy pillow is probably a little bit too fat, too tall for this ghost baby, but we're just going to kind of make it work here. So baby is going to say, "Oh, I want that. How do I get there?" And so what we want to see here is some rotation in the pelvis. We want to see the pelvis be rotating here. So this is the weight-bearing side. The weight-bearing side is the side closest to the toy. And the action is going to come from this other side here. So what's going to happen is baby's going to almost kind of side sit or side prop on the boppy pillow here. And if your baby's still working on side propping and side sitting, a great video to take a look at is the other exercises we did in that 4 to 6 month motor activities there. So go and review those if you're still working on side sitting. So baby's going to be moving over and weight bearing more on this bottom hip. The other hip is going to kind of stack on top of that one, and it's going to initiate a little bit of a weight shift and a roll over to the side. So here goes baby from sitting into like a side propping here. Now, if we want to continue to work on baby getting into that all fours position, we're going to keep moving the rattle, kind of like we did in the tummy pivot activity. We're going to keep moving the rattle in the direction we want baby to move. So baby's going to say, wait a minute, I like that rattle. And they're going to kind of scoot over this way, over to the top of their boppy pillow. And so they're going to find themselves in kind of this tummy over the boppy pillow from a seated position and getting their hands here. Now this is kind of a modified position to work on if baby's continuing to work on feeling strong and stable and sitting, and you want to work on having them come over into that more of a quadruped all fours position. And what's good about this is that because it gives them a nice soft surface to kind of move off of. And they're also continuing to get some weight, some of their weight shifting into their pelvis, into their hip joint, into their knee joint, and at the tops of their feet. They can kind of free their feet up here and move a little bit. They can also get some weight bearing into their shoulders and elbows and wrists here by kind of rotating side to side. And again, that's going to depend on how you move the toy. So you're a big player in the environment here, and you can change the environment and the activity to get the response that you want. So when baby's kind of in this modified tummy weight bearing position here, if you move the toy over to the right, baby's going to shift their weight. Their hip is going to, this side hip over here is going to take more of the weight. This side here in the shoulder and the elbow is going to take more weight, and they're going to rotate their trunk, which is going to give you that mobility in the pelvis that you want to see. You want to see that rotation there. And then this hand's going to come out. You're going to see that's called unilateral reaching on, fancy words for reaching on one side of their body. And this is great because whenever you see this unilateral or this reaching on one side of the body and the weight shifting on the other side of the body, what you're seeing is a precursor for all that's important with crawling later here. If we want to move baby from this kind of crawling position back into sitting, we can either keep rotating around here and baby's going to kind of come to a side sit here. Baby's going to bring their arm around. They're going to continue to weight shift into this bottom hip. And they're going to kind of lean in here almost like a side prop. And then they're in that side sit position again. And then if we want baby to come all the way around, we just keep changing where the toy is, because the toy is going to lead the direction of the way baby moves. Hands are going to come down. We're going to give this to baby. Baby's going to be so happy. Oh, I want to put it in my mouth and eat it. And so there we are. All right. So here we have baby who is in a sitting position, and they're playing with some of their toys here. They're all within reach. Life couldn't be better until mom comes in or dad comes in or a special caregiver comes in and says, ha, I'm going to move your toys. And you might move it just out of reach where baby just can't quite get it. So what you're going to see baby do here is, and what you want to help baby do, is you want to move into that side prop position again that we've worked on. Again, we worked on that same position back in the 4 to 6 months where baby's going to come down on one elbow and they're going to stack their hips here. And then, oh, I can get to it. But then we want to move this, keep moving it around the arc, the toy around the world, and then that baby's going to keep kind of coming around and come up here on all fours. Now, if baby is not quite strong enough to manage this position on all fours, baby might collapse down onto their tummy. And then this is a great place to start working on that pivoting on their tummy, to work on getting that baby to bend their hip up and kind of experiment in this almost like a tripod position and rocking back and forth. All right, one more modification of moving from sitting to crawling. So here's baby sitting and happy as can be, and then whoa, fancy new toy in town. Here comes that toy. They're like, what the huh? I love this toy. I want to play it and play with it, make noise with it, and put it in my mouth. So if we want to work on baby moving from a supported sitting position, or help with this sitting position, into a crawling position, we're going to take our yoga bolster, our yoga foam roller, and just put it underneath baby's arm here. And this gives us mobility here. See, I can hold on to baby and also make baby kind of roll and weight shift over their hip. So if the toy's over here, kind of like in a direct angle over this way, baby's gonna forget all about this toy. Not that toy. I want this toy. Baby's gonna be motivated by coming towards that toy. So baby is gonna move in the direction of that toy. So baby's gonna stack their hips and maybe play in this side propping position here for a minute. And they're gonna say, I could be more efficient, because baby's always working on making their movements more efficient. I could be more efficient if I could get my body a little bit closer to that. And so with this roller here, baby's going to try to rotate their pelvis even some more and come all the way over to the top of that. We can give a little bit of help there. By moving the toy so that baby doesn't clobber themselves in it, and coming over the foam roller a little bit here. That way baby gets over the foam roller, their hands are on the floor, they're weight shifting into their hands and into their shoulders, elbows, wrists, into their hips and into their knees, and they're able to hold that position with a little bit of support here if they're not quite strong enough. And so here's their toy, and they're really into that. Maybe the toy moves over to one side, and they're gonna rotate their pelvis and almost kind of side prop a little bit here, while reaching with another hand. Doot, 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 I love you, toy. And so here's one part of this aspect. So a lot of their weight is going to be in this bottom area here, this bottom hip, and then it's going to free up more mobility in this hip, for this hip to move. And this arm. So then we have that. One side is weight bearing. This bottom side is weight bearing. This bottom side is weight bearing. This bottom side is becoming more mobile. And this this top side is becoming more mobile. And this top arm is becoming more mobile. And we have to have that ability to weight bear on one side of the body while the other side is more mobile, that stability before mobility, in order to help facilitate the crawling process. So if we wanted to move baby back to a sitting position, we're just going to reverse that activity. We're going to move the toy, and baby's going to say, hey, what the huh? I was playing with that. And we're going to help facilitate always at the pelvis here, and we're going to rotate that pelvis over and come up in that sitting position. And baby can say, oh, thank heavens. There we go. I'm going to get my toy. All right, so that is coming from sitting to a crawling position with your 7 to 9 month old. Your call to action, my friend, is to give this activity a try to help baby move from that sitting position into that all fours position, that 4-point position that gets them ready to rock and roll and move. All right, that's it for now. Bye for now.